Hey guys, all right, so today I want to talk about densities. I've had some questions via Instagram asking me, okay, what do you mean when you're talking about third density to fifth density? So I'm going to explain this the way that I have learned densities to be, which is basically through the Book of Ra. If you've never heard of the Book of Ra, Ra is they're channelings that were done back, I don't know, in the 60s or something, but you can access the books online, and it's basically just a channeling that's done. And what channeling means is when a human being channels another entity. Basically, that's what Abraham Hicks does too. So what I'm going to attempt to explain is the third to the fifth density. And when I'm talking about 3, 4, 5, what do I mean? Okay, so as the Book of Ra states, and the reason I use the Book of Ra is because it makes more sense to me. It makes sense. It resonates with me. And that's how we all should live, right? Like, you need to make sure whatever you do in life resonates with you. So when you start listening to Ra, first of all, it's very complex and extremely complicated. It may not resonate with you right away, and that's okay. That means you're just not ready for it. It took me, I tried listening to Ra like years ago, and I was like, what the hell? And it wasn't until last year, beginning of last year, when I really started understanding the Book of Ra. And there's one more book that I was reading. But anyways, so densities. So basically, the lower the density, the lower the consciousness. Okay? So first density is your root chakra. It's the red ray. And first density is kind of like rocks, right? Like rocks, they have a consciousness, they have energy, everything's energy, but really they can't evolve their consciousness, right? Second density is your second chakra. So it's the ray, the orange colored ray. And the second density is when consciousness has evolved yet a little bit more. So your second density can be more like your pets, your dogs, for example. Like, they have a consciousness, they have feelings, but they just can't express their consciousness. They can give you love, that's a little bit of an expression of consciousness, but their consciousness can't evolve past their animal brain, right? Or their instinctive brain. They're still gonna go with instincts, not consciousness per se. Okay, so that's related to your second chakra. The third density, which is what we live on here on this earth right now, which actually has been shifting into fourth, we'll talk about that in a second, but third density is basically earth, which is your solar plexus chakra. So it is the color of yellow. It's the yellow ray within you, which is where we live. And us as human beings, even though this density is very heavy and our lifespan is short, each density you move up to, your lifespan increases. Okay, so here we have a third density, we have physical form, we have the ability to expand our consciousness. We are born here with a veil. We are meant to, our soul, a lot of us, we know we have a soul. We want to believe, some people don't, but as you evolve consciousness, you realize that our soul is connected to, we're connected to something other than this physical self. And that is the point of third density, is for us to evolve as souls. And you've been evolving, you've been a soul, you've probably been first, second, now third. Like, you've been through this evolution since the beginning of Earth. So for billions of years, right? So that is your third dimension, sorry. associated with the color yellow. I'm also I wrote notes here, so I'm just gonna like look at my notes so I don't forget anything. In your third level of consciousness, you also you make a choice. You make a choice of whether you understand love and understanding to be positive, and you live in a way that expresses love and understanding, which will increase your consciousness, or you're gonna see love and understanding. And I love this because Aaron Abke expresses it this way, and I think it's such a great way to show the difference. But here on earth, if you think of love and understanding to be useless, then you're gonna go more into a negative, a harder life, a harder density, because you're probably gonna be more full of hate, right? That just makes sense. But you have the free will here to make a choice of if you want to take consciousness and run with it and understand love and understanding, or if you want to make it, if you just see it as useless, like you're more self-serving. Here we sacrifice for self. Everything that we hoard or we want, and you've seen it in this coronavirus, people that are hoarding right now are having a hard time. I guarantee you that. They're probably full of fear, because when pandemics and things happen and the government's projecting fear, people who are already fearful because they don't have an understanding of love and understanding for others. They also don't have it for themselves. Okay. Fourth density. Fourth density is more when you come from the heart space. Okay, so it's not a place. Like here physically, we want to see everything as a physical. But when I'm talking about densities, I am doing almost a projection. So you can think of it as astral projection, where when I make my decisions, I'm not making them from the third density. I'm making them from, I was from the fourth, but now I'm making them from the fifth. So fourth density comes from your heart chakra. Okay, so it is, the fourth density is more when you begin to explore and enhance your consciousness. You become more aware of what is going on around you. So you're not just into self. It's not, your life isn't just about you. People are doing things to you. No. Now you are looking outside of yourself and you are expanding consciousness. The color is green, and it's your heart chakra that we go to in the fourth dimension. So that makes sense, right? So in this, you have an understanding, and you know that we are here to love. The thing in the fourth dimension, I went through this, holy did I ever, is that you can be like overzealous as a matriarch. So you self-sacrifice for others. You do too much of that. And I went through such a huge period of my life doing this. That's because I was in the fourth dimension. The self-sacrifice that you do, it's not fully in balance. It's not fully in balance. You don't ever feel fully balanced or completely understood. And Aaron Abke says that Martin Luther King, for example, it was a fourth dimension soul who was reincarnated here on earth, but he died for their rights, right? For African American rights, right? So that is fourth dimension. Fifth dimension is when you get into the throat chakra. And the reason I know I'm in the fifth dimension is not only through astral projection, which I'm going to do vlogs on, but it is also because I have always been most connected, especially when I started my spiritual journey, I became so connected to my throat chakra. So the throat chakra is the fifth dimension. Now, what happens in the fifth dimension? And this is where I'm at now. This is what's happening. You go from self-sacrifice, but you take all of that love and understanding and you put wisdom and light into it. So you can now take your experiences and you can put wisdom and your blue, so it's the color of the throat chakra is blue. You can put an aura of blue light and you can pass on your wisdom, like I do in these vlogs, to others. So in the fifth dimension, you have a balance between love, understanding, and wisdom. There's no more self-sacrifice. It's not a in the fifth dimension, you understand everything, including like this coronavirus. Everything is, it just is. People who come and speak to you, I talk about this all the time, you let them be them. It is what it is. You don't need to answer their questions. You can be supportive of them and you can listen. And that's been a huge change for me. And I didn't understand it until I guess like a couple months ago, where I really realized, oh, I'm in the fifth dimension now, because I am coming from a place of love, wisdom, and understanding. So those are the dimensions. Altogether, there's 7, but I'm already 11 minutes in, so I'm just going to talk about the 5. And hopefully some of you can relate. If you know anything about dimensions, please like comment below, because I'm super interested in what others have to have like others' experiences. Love you guys. Bye.